Fantasy football podcast called Living the Stream comes to you each week. Streaming recommendations during NFL season, it's not just tongue-in-cheek. Quarterback, defense, tight end recommendations based on opposition matchup. Here are your podcast hosts, JJ Zacharyson and Danny Carter, living the stream.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Living the Stream. I'm JJ Zacharyson, the late-round quarterback, and as always, I am joined by my lovely, lovely co-host, Denny Dennis Carter, the 16th. Denny, how's it going, buddy?
It could be better because it looks like I missed the LTS Listener League playoffs by exactly 0.4, not 4, but 0.4 fantasy points. I believe I lost to you. Is that correct?
Well, so here's what happened. First off, you can't be more down bad than me because I had to take my hat down one more. I only have 2 notches on the snapback right now. Okay, you can't be down bad worse than me. I'm straight up to that. So I thought I was toast in this league because my team died the last month of the season. Like, just horrible production. I was good to start the year. We both were really good.
Yes, I was having a good time in that league.
Yeah, it was things were looking good. And then, things just didn't look good. And so I was looking at your team, and I was looking at the playoff scenarios, and I thought I was toast because it was you and someone else that was behind me. And the way that our playoffs work is that the top 5 teams by record get in, and then the 6th seed is the most points that's not in based on record. Right. So, there's Bob Harris here, who I have a story about this right after this.
Okay.
So anyway, Denny, you lose by 0.4. I thought you were a lock to win because you were playing the 14th ranked team in the league.
And they went crazy.
They went like, relatively speaking, versus what we all expected them to do. Yes, this is Alex's team. And then you had Jamar Chase though last night.
I know, and I had no business even coming close to winning. I was down by a ton.
I didn't even, I thought I was done, so I didn't go and look. I didn't know I could have made the playoffs until I literally looked last night after the games were over. And I'm like, oh, I made the playoffs in this league. That's crazy. I didn't think, I literally thought it was done. I didn't know if you were in or what, but I thought that my playoff scenarios were over. And yes, you got ruined by, you had Kenneth Walker, who was out, but your Jamar Chase game, 45.1 PPR points, got you within 0.4.
That's right. It came so close. But honestly, look, here's how I'm coping. I'm coping and crying. Here's how I'm doing it. One, I had no business getting that close because you had the Leon Lett special teams play last night. They gave the Bengals the ball back.
That's right.
And then you had the Jamar Chase 45-yard touchdown. All right. So that was just free money, right?
Yeah.
And secondly, I have to remember that one day the sun will swallow the earth.
Yes, that's what you have to do in these situations.
Yeah, and that or that all of our graves one day will be unattended.
Yes,
I mean, yeah. If you think big like that, if you zoom out a long way, something like this, it doesn't mean much.
Well, you will forget about it by the time fantasy football season starts next year.
I will forget about it by tonight, I believe.
Yeah. No. So I wanted to talk a little philosophical with you because I mentioned last week, I told the whole story about that David Njoku game. Remember, he dropped the pass. Oh. I lost by 0.1 because of that. And that was essentially more than likely a playoff spot that I lost as a result of that. I needed a lot to go in my way. Well, I think sometimes the fantasy gods do things like that for a reason. Because, Denny, in that league, okay, this is my home league. Again, I know that we're talking about our own, but I think that stories like this can be therapeutic for people to hear, right?
Yeah.
And I also think that there are times, like I said, that the fantasy gods are actually helping you out in these scenarios. This one being one, because Denny, there's a chance that if you would have made the playoffs, you would have had an even worse heartbreak down the line, because that is exactly what would have happened with me. Get this. Here's the picture. In my home league, I do the playoffs the exact same way. It's a 14-team league as well. You get 2 buys, 6 teams make the playoffs. Six seed is based on points not in, right? Entering the final week, there was a big shuffle with the the leading point scorers, right?
Right,
The
right.
guy who was the leader in points was a 7-win team, and he needed stuff to happen to just get in based on record, but he was going to get in on points regardless, right?
Okay.
There were 2 teams that had 9 wins, and then there were 5 teams that had 8 wins, or 4 teams that had 8 wins. And then there was that guy, there were 4 teams who had 8 wins, and then there was the guy who had the most points not in, who had 7, right? The final week of the season, I've set it up where we do an all play, where the top half of the league gets a win if they score in the top half in point, because then that way we all play each other once throughout the season. Okay. And so there were scenarios and things that could happen to get me in, but it was kind of a long shot because of that stupid David Njoku thing that happened the week prior. There were all that. Well, ends up every team that had 8 wins ended up winning. Okay. And the one team, the 2 teams that had 9 wins ended up losing. So they were bottom half scores. And then the team that had the most points also ended up losing. So the guy who had the most points was the 6th seed no matter what, right? But now we have 6 teams for 5 spots, all with 9 wins.
Oh, wow.
Denny, let me tell you, the reason this happened was because of the last Jamar Chase touchdown.
Right.
All of it came down to that. So what would have happened for me was if I would have won the previous week, then that touchdown would have knocked me out of the playoffs, which would have been unbelievably more tilting than the David Njoku drop. Unbelievably more tilting. So I ask everyone listening right now to remember, okay? I ask you to remember. Or I command you to remember? Maybe I'm not asking you to remember.
You demand.
I demand that you remember that during the fantasy playoffs, okay? Just remember that your team might and more than likely would face a more difficult heartbreak than the heartbreak that you just suffered in week 14.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's that old parable about like the farmer whose son breaks his leg while riding a horse or whatever.
And making this up right now.
No, I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not. No, listen. All right. So you got a farmer, son gets on a horse, falls, breaks his leg, horrific injury. Can't think of anything worse. It's the worst thing to ever happen. And then the government comes around and they're drafting young men for war. And they say, this young man has a broken leg. He can't go to war. So you never know when something is good or bad. And, hey, you didn't have to go to war.
That's right. That's right. My team is probably going to dominate in the playoffs, but guess what? Even if I had won last week, I wasn't getting in. I wasn't supposed to get in. And sometimes you have teams that do really, really well in weeks 15 to 17. But if you didn't get in, you didn't get in. It wasn't just based on David Njoku dropping that pass. And look, David Njoku's done very good things for me this season. Yeah. And throughout his career. He's a great man and a great football player.
Many are saying.
Yeah. Would I have said that now if I would have missed the playoffs in that way, in that fashion? Probably not.
No, definitely
not. But we're both in the Apex playoffs too.
Yeah. I'm the 2 seed there. By the way, I so love Mike Clay. I've been in leagues with him for many, many years now. I don't think I've ever actually beaten him. He actually beat me in the Apex Championship one year.
Yeah,
which is devastating. Mike Clay down year in the Apex League, which is very rare, honestly.
Yeah, he's probably there's a handful. There's a couple that like usually do pretty well in Apex, and he's one of them. And
I mean, in every league, it just like he's a great fantasy player. I've stopped critiquing the way Mike does anything in fantasy because he always just beats my ass. So he's had a bad year, down year, and he still beat me. He still beat me last week. I'm like, okay, all right, fine. I'm the 2 seed. You're the 100 seed, and you still beat me. Okay, Mike.
In that league this week, I because my 2 running backs are Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. Okay, so I picked up Isaiah Davis, fortunately, whenever like before others like were looking for him on the waiver wire, and then I also started Amir Abdullah because Bloom was high on Sincere McCormick, rightfully so, and he got him for a higher bid than I put in, and so I started Amir Abdullah, who got like 0.1 points, but it didn't matter because I had Josh Allen on my team, and Josh Allen went absolutely nuclear this past week, and that's all you needed. That's the other thing with fantasy, man. You just sometimes just need, like, one of the teams in my home league this past week was starting Jamal Williams and some other scrub running, like had so many guys on bye. I thought for sure he was going to get a bottom half score. He had Jordan Addison and Josh Allen. He scored the most points in the league last week. Like,
wow.
Just it's crazy how
Wow.
that kind of thing happens when you can literally have two players do everything for you, and that's all you need.
Oh, can I tell you? I thought I was going to get away with it in the LTS league. At the last second, I put in Kenny McIntosh, the RB3 for Seattle,
And he
and
scored what? He scored 6.5 points. That's
I
pretty
know.
good.
And I thought I was going to look back and be like, I got it. I got away with it. I put in my guy McIntosh.
Oh, I do need to call out. I said this at the beginning of the show. Bob Harris is in chat right now. And Bob Harris and I, so I'm in the Kings Classic. Okay. It's the league that we draft in Canton in the Hall of Fame. We do back-to-back drafts. We do a snake draft and then we do an auction draft. My snake draft team is actually in first entering the playoffs. So I get a bye, which is great. It's a 14-team league. You get sharks, analysts and stuff. And it's a very big, it's a competitive league. The auction team that I have is absolute trash, just complete dumpster fire, terrible team. Like I punted my RB2 spot and it was Jonathan Brooks, and Jonathan Brooks has done nothing. I started Brooks this week. He got minus 0.3 points because I had Joe Mixon on bye. Okay. Let me just tell you that Bob had a superior team compared to mine, but we were both in a winning in environment. I somehow because I had Jamar Chase and Brock Bowers, and really that's all you need to be competitive in fantasy football.
Yeah.
Right? And Joe Mixon. And so we go into this game last night. I'm down 35 points and I have Jamar Chase left. And I win by, like 10 or 11 or 12 or something. I got to say though, this is the team this past week. I started Tim Patrick on this team.
Oh, you're sick. Oh, I saw that on the Blue Sky.
You're sick.
That's disgusting. And
It's
this was
so
against
gross.
Bob.
I feel worse. If it were like you or Reeves or something, I would feel great about it.
No, you feel great. No, you get why would you do that to Bob Harris?
I know. I'm literally doing it to the nicest human being in the fantasy space.
This is horrible. You should feel so. Bob, listen. I know you're watching. I just want to apologize on behalf of JJ. He's not a good person playing.
Yeah, it was the call of the year for me, but also it was insanely. I mean, I ran good. I mean, he gets 2 touchdowns. You run sometimes.
You ran pretty good. Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, Bob, I love you. I'm sorry that I had to knock you out, but hopefully I can do something in the playoffs. Even though I'm going to lose in the first round, it's going to be meaningless.
Oh, nice, nice reverse jinx.
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually facing Rotopat in the first round, I think.
All right.
Yeah,
I know him.
All right, let's look at what happened in week 14. Probably one of our worst streaming weeks of the year-ish.
I mean, to be fair, it's tough action to stream right now. We've already given you guys 18 starters,
Yeah. I don't like the results is all, right? Will Levis scores 7. He wasn't really like super high on our list, but he was on our list. Cooper Rush scores 14. Jameis Winston scores 15. Russell Wilson 16. That's not horrific, right? Like we've had worse weeks. This is probably like a 20th percentile week for us.
I got 17 out of Jameis in one league. I felt pretty dang good about it.
Yeah. For the record, we do always count -2 picks, which probably hurts our purposes for. Yeah. Maybe I should change that up.
Yeah, I think you should do +1.
Yeah, we get points for interceptions.
That's right.
We also had Aiden O'Connell, who had 6.8. He was a deeper play. Will Dissly 3.9, but he got hurt. Noah Gray 6.6. Juwan Johnson in a really tough matchup did score 15 points. He scored the touchdown. Dawson Knox, who was on your LTS listener league team, 1.5. I started him in a league this week too. It sucked. Mike Gesicki 5.4. That was bad. Tight end was generally bad except for Juwan Johnson. New Orleans had 8 as a defense. Arizona had -1. Arizona was the worst call of our week.
I hated that. Yeah. It's tough about the Bills scoring 100 points against the Rams is that nobody scored any fantasy points except for Josh Allen. I mean, James Cook, nothing. Yeah. Ray Davis, nothing.
James Cook had 100% of their running back rushes, and he had 6 running back rushes. Six rushes. I didn't need the descriptor of running back rushes. There.
Just crazy. I mean, yeah. I mean, you think, you look, oh, let me check my box score. It must have been great for Dawson Knox.
Yeah, don't forget Khalil Shakir, though.
Yeah, he did stuff. Whatever. Congratulations, John Thomas, in the chat.
I need to stop ever taking L's because I was a Khalil Shakir truther when he came out.
Well, listen, never wrong, only early.
Yeah, right. Never wrong, only early. I don't remember ever being wrong. when I really think about it through that lens. I've never actually been wrong ever.
Tyler is asking with the regular season over, who's going to be the playoff MVP. I'm just going to throw it out there with Kenneth Walker getting re-examined or reevaluated. Zach Charbonnet is a league winner.
See, Charbonnet is another don't take an L too early guy for me because I liked him as a prospect. I thought there was gonna be more of a split this year, and then I changed my tune in late July because of all the coach speak stuff. But like I think we saw this past week, Sharps is good, man. Like my top comp for him coming out was James Conner. Does he not remind you of like a James Conner type back
before he was washed? Yeah.
Denny.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh. No, Charbonnet is a good call. I thought it was going to be Jacoby Myers, but I'm now a little afraid with the Aiden O'Connell injury.
Yeah.
His schedule is just so perfect, and he's seeing such good work, and like it's tough whenever Desmond Ridder is going to be starting.
What about Sincere McCormick?
Maybe. The problem with Sincere that I've had is. And I texted my buddy yesterday. Can't you see like a Lin-Manuel Miranda rap about Sincere McCormick's name? but instead of when he's like talking about his name, I can't believe I'm even talking about this.
Yeah, I want to hear. I need to hear this.
This is where my brain goes, and you guys need to understand where my brain goes with stuff. Yeah. Okay. Like all he's using in the rap is synonyms of sincere until he finally gets to the name Sincere McCormick. It's like this like build up, and then he's introducing Sincere McCormick to the crowd, and he's good. Using genuine McCormick, and then he's just going on and on with all these synonyms for sincere. My thing with sincere is, number one, it'll be interesting to see if we get Alexander Madison, like when Alexander Madison is back, how that would look. He's also not seeing that much passing game work because Amir Abdullah comes in. But Tyler said, asking me about my BBM, bro, for my first season, it was horrific because I went.
Thanks for asking.
Thanks. I went heavy. Look, I had all these experts on my show to tell me how to draft, and I go 0 RB, and I just flushed the season down the toilet. Now I'll have a whole recap show with Rich in January once it's done. I'm not going to win anything, but it's fine. I'm not like I look, I'm a season long bro, and that is my bread and butter. And best ball was a nice fun, and I'm going to keep doing best ball like to that degree year in and year out, hopefully. But season long is my bread and butter. Had a great season long season. I think the advice was good, but best ball is just a different beast. And I learned that the hard way this year,
You're not mad. Is what you're saying.
Don't put people have been commenting how I keep saying this. Don't put it in the paper that I'm mad, please. Because apparently you were the only one who said that before. All right, let's move on to week 15. Denny, I'll kick things off at quarterback. Okay. I have 3. You have 2. We'll go to Aaron Rodgers. He gets Jacksonville this week. He had his first 300-yard game. I looked this up for my data dump thread. Yeah. Since December 2021 this past week.
Crazy, man. Yeah, 35 games.
Yeah. Jacksonville, they're still the top team by adjusted points allowed to quarterbacks. They've given up 46 passing yards over expected this season. So, teams that are facing the Jags or quarterbacks against the Jags are throwing for 46 more yards than they typically do. The Jets have an implied 22-point total. I don't think the ceiling's massive for Rodgers in this spot, but I think that he can get by. My question to you, Denny, I have Rodgers versus, I'm still alive in Scott Fishbowl.
Oh yeah.
I have Rodgers versus Jameis in my super flex spot. So this is a nice segue to you talking about Jameis, but which one of those two would you go?
Jameis, man.
Yeah.
That's just me. But yeah, Jameis Winston against Kansas City. Game has a 45-point total, which I'm here to tell you is not high enough. It needs to be higher. Yeah. I mean, just a volume hog for Jameis Winston over the past 4 weeks. 187 dropbacks, leads the league over that stretch. He's second in completions. He's first in passing yards over that span. And yet he's still on a lot of waiver wires. I don't know really why exactly, but Cleveland has a 66% dropback rate in Winston starts, and only 3 teams have allowed a higher pass EPA than Kansas City since week 8. I actually kind of forgot until recently that the Chiefs secondary is not very good. So yeah. I think they can be exploited. And I'm very bullish on Winston.
Yeah, I'm probably going to lean that direction because I think I look in a playoff too. You probably need to go ceiling. You know, I probably need to go more that route because I don't think Rodgers really has that. Now, flash forward to next week, and I'll probably be crying because I benched Rodgers for Winston. Tyler's in chat. Tyler's in chat saying he checks some of my BBMs that I have sneaky bangers. Look, my individual player takes were actually not that bad this year at all. Like I have a ton of Chase Brown, all that kind of stuff. My biggest problem with BBM this year was that I went 0 RB, so I have way too few of like Saquon and Derrick Henry and stuff. But I also didn't get like any Chuba. My Chuba versus Jonathan Brooks take ruined me in BBM.
So first of all, this is Best Ball Mania for those of you who may not be aware. It's an underdog tournament where the winner gets $2.4 billion.
Yes.
And Chuba, that's actually a good call. Chuba is a league winner right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's a huge league. I just misread that situation. I have him in some season long leagues just because I try to diversify a little bit. But like, I went heavy Jonathan Brooks because I saw that as like the league winning play. My biggest thing with best ball, you have to have a mental shift, a mentality shift of like, of you just need production. Like I didn't get enough like Cortland Sutton, for instance, because I'm like, oh, he's a low ceiling guy, whatever. You know,
did.
But it's a totally different. Like I've learned a lot this year when looking at the actual results. Because before when I would play best ball, I'm like, okay, this is the result. I don't really need to like dig in and like do an autopsy report because I'm not playing, enough cash on that. Like I don't care enough, right?
Yeah, right.
But like there's just stuff like that happened and then obviously the running back season is completely different than what we've really ever seen. So I'm not like, again, I'm not overly like mad. It's more so like I get really excited to like dig into this stuff for the like I want this season to end because I want to dig into all of these topics on the Late Round podcast.
You're gonna pour over this like it's an alien autopsy on the Fox News network in 1996. That's what you're gonna do.
I'm excited. Like this is the stuff that fires. This is the stuff that fires me up.
You love it. You love it.
And I'll be DMing you and Reeves constantly when I'm finding stuff before
you're
it gets
be
published.
like, it was Chuba the whole time.
Yeah, right. All right. I probably have more notes for this next one than I have all season on this show. Bryce Young against Dallas. Okay. I'm actually, this game only has a 42.5 total.
Yeah.
I feel like that's too low.
That's too low.
I have a thing. So I put together this like matchup sheet for patrons and for my Discord every week. And I post on the Discord and I have what I call a pace score. It's a really, really like basic, like little formula I built that just shows a score of how fast a game is going to be, right? This game has the highest pace score that I've seen in like a pretty long, like in a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
Like it could be pretty fast paced. That's good. Bryce Young is playing better ball. He scored 17.5 points per game over his last 3. He's only had 2 touchdowns in one game this year and no 2 touchdown games during that stretch. So why is that happening? Well, rushing juice. He's rushed for 30, 20, 17, and 29 yards over his last 4 games.
Wow.
Dallas can generate some pressure, but Carolina is actually above average at preventing some pressure. But even if Dallas gets to Bryce, I think he might run a little bit. He might give us some of that juice. So you get Carolina with a 22 plus implied team total. Dallas is the 4th best matchup by adjusted points allowed. I'm putting it out there, even though it could be used against me because this is in the LTS listener league. I have Baker Mayfield in the playoffs in that league. And I'm going to play him, but I genuinely contemplated going with Bryce Young over and going after Bryce Young on waivers this week.
I don't blame you, man. I mean, Bryce Young was real close to having 20 plus points last week against the Eagles. If Xavier Legette had held on to that game winning touchdown, I was so excited, by the way, about that. I had nothing on it. I'm not stacking Panthers and DFS or whatever, but like Legette I thought he catches it, he rolls into the end zone. I'm like, oh my God, they pulled the upset. Because last week on the Roto World Football Show, I said, guys, look, the Panthers are winning. Yeah. Obviously, they're going to beat the Eagles. And Pat wanted to kick me off the show. So I was almost right. Anyway.
Yeah, I think. Do you think that the Eagles are just massively unlikable because of Sirianni?
Yeah, no, definitely. And they also have the same problem that they always have, which is if they face a 1-point deficit in the playoffs, they're done.
Yeah.
Like they can't do anything except for just hand it to Saquon 80 times a game.
I'm excited for the Battle of Pennsylvania this weekend with my Steelers versus the Eagles.
I like the Steelers, honestly.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
All right.
I'll just add on Cooper Rush here, actually, because we have Cooper Rush as well. He gets Carolina. So again, that game could be faster paced. The environment, I think, is better than the 42.5 point total. You can or can't. I mean, if you want to bet on it, sure, but I'm not a betting analyst. Dallas has, this is the best. So I also look at pressure rate in this matchup cheat sheet. Dallas has the best pressure rate matchup in the league this week in terms of Carolina generating it and them preventing it, and Dallas preventing it. So Carolina's a plus matchup. They're sixth best opponent for quarterbacks by adjusted points allowed. So I think Cooper Rush is like I wouldn't play him over Bryce or any of the other guys we talked about, but I think he's a decent play.
I have Will Levis. Sorry. Yes. This is a tough one. I mean, 47.5 point total for the Cincinnati Tennessee game, which is the third highest of the week. That's fine. Tennessee has allowed the Titans have gone run heavy. Basically, Titans are now have the seventh lowest pass rate over expected. Going into last week, Levis had multiple touchdowns in 3 of 4 games, so he can possibly, conceivably do that sort of thing. But I don't know. I think you have to be pretty desperate. I think it's more of like a super flex, probably.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. It's a deep play. All right, tight ends, Denny. Why don't you kick things off there because you have 3.
Yeah, I have 2 Noahs, believe it or not. Noah Gray.
Yeah, we like the Noahs this week. Yeah.
We love our Noahs, folks. Noah Gray against the Browns. He has 5 targets in 3 of his past 4 games. 43% route rate over those 4 games. Kansas City is using 2 tight ends on 43% of their plays since week 11, things of that nature. He's being targeted on 19% of his pass routes, which is actually pretty good for a tight end, I should say. So I don't know. I kind of like the shootout appeal of the offensive environment of this game. You could do worse than Noah Gray.
Yeah. We'll go to Zach Ertz. He's still out there in like over 55% of leagues probably because of his bye last week and people dropping him. So I figured I'd give him a shout. New Orleans is a top 10 matchup for tight ends by adjusted points allowed. Washington has a 25 plus point implied team total, and Ertz has seen a 20% target share at least in each of his last 4. So he's a pretty obvious play to me.
Yeah. The other Noah Fant, he has kind of surprisingly 19 catches over his past 5 games. Last week he was back in the lineup, fully healthy. Well, kind of healthy. Yeah. He ran a route on 22 of 30 dropbacks for the Seahawks against the Cardinals. He plays the Packers this week. Packers are kind of middle of the road matchup against tight ends.
This is probably the most fun play of the week for us. We're going to go with Stone Smart, and don't you dare spell his last name with 1 T.
No, you got to add the other 2 T's.
Don't you dare forget
T.
that. By the way, the what is it? Tucker Fisk, who's the other tight end there.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. That they just made up names that are in that backfield. Tucker Fisk anyway had a 17% route share this past week, while Stone Smart, again, Will Dissly being sidelined, had a 33% route participation. I say snap share, I meant route participation. So he's the guy who played more, got more routes than Fisk this past week. Had a 10.3% target share. Showed off some athleticism. Did you see Stone Smart's catch down the field against Kansas City?
I thought he looked great. I thought he looked like a receiver.
Yeah. I mean, like I was watching it. I'm like, just because maybe it's because of the Chargers. I was like, is this like Ladarius Green-esque? Like it feels that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm maybe too excited about Stone Smart this week.
Yeah, maybe I'm gonna pick. Okay, let me ask you this, Denny. Okay. I'm in the playoffs in another league. And I had Taysom and I had Kyle Pitts. It was my only Kyle Pitts share this season. And Kyle Pitts sucks. Are you playing Stone Smart over Kyle Pitts this week?
I 100% am playing Stone Smart with 2 T's over Kyle Pitts.
I think I got to do it just for the vibes too. Like I think it'll bring my team morale up, and maybe it'll force, because I got Kyler starting at quarterback. I think Kyler might do a little bit better with Stone Smart in the lineup.
You never know. Also, look, they're playing pass funnel Tampa defense, and maybe McConkey's out. If McConkey's out, Stone Smart is cooking. I'm sorry.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I think I got to go with Stone Smart this week in that league. I'm not going to use a waiver claim on him because I'll let that take care of itself. If someone wants to use a waiver claim on Stone Smart, then I'm not meant to. Someone else is meant to have Stone Smart.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Not me. But yeah, maybe I'll do that. All right. Last one, Denny.
Oh yeah. Who do I have? I have
Juwan. We got
Juwan
Juwan again.
Johnson. Yeah, ran around on 28 of 35 Saints dropbacks last week. He had 5 targets, second only to MVS on the Saints. He caught that touchdown. He ran from the slot on 40% of his routes, which is not bad for a tight end. And the Saints are 9.5-point underdogs to Washington this week. They should be chasing points. Who knows who the quarterback will be, but it'll be pretty bad. It'll be not good quality targets coming Juwan's way.
We got someone in chat said, anybody else here for the vibes? Sure. I mean, if you're out of the playoffs and you're still watching, that's great.
Yeah,
we love you.
Come for the vibes, stay for the vibes.
Yeah, that's right. That's actually our tagline. We should put that on all of our social media accounts.
Yeah.
All right, defense. Cardinals against New England. I know the Cardinals disappointed this past week. New England's allowed the second highest pressure rate in the league. New England has a 19.5-point implied team total. It's a 5th best matchup for the Cardinals by adjusted points allowed. On paper, this is a good play. On paper, the Cardinals make a lot of sense.
I have the Falcons against the Desmond Ritter-led Raiders. Vegas has a 19.75 total, one of the implied total, one of the lowest of the week. Ritter has taken a sack on 7 of his 53 dropbacks this season. He has a pressure to sack rate north of 25%, which has always been his problem. So could have a sack base floor.
I'm going to go Commanders against the Saints. This one's also easy. It doesn't sound like Derek Carr is going to go, more than likely. I hate how they played it. There's been a report of every iteration of Derek Carr Sunday or whenever they're playing. It's like just tell us if he's going to be in or out.
I know. Well, first it was like he's done for the year, definitely.
You're right. And then no, he might be able to play. Are they playing on? Is their game on Monday? Is that the Monday night game? I don't really remember. Maybe it's just a Sunday game.
Is it?
I hope not.
No. It's 1:00 on Sunday.
Okay. I couldn't remember what I don't remember times this time of week. Yeah. But yeah, so the Commanders, New Orleans was already a top 10 team for defenses by adjusted points allowed. Now part of that is because Derek Carr was out for part of the year, but now Derek Carr's gonna be out again. So we should feel good about that. Saints only have an 18-point implied team total, and they're at home. So I think them being at home, meaning the Saints are at home, and they still have that low of a total. I think the Commanders are in a pretty good spot. All right. Falcons, Commanders, Cardinals, Juwan Johnson, Noah Fant, Noah Gray, Stone Smart, Zach Ertz, Cooper Rush, Will Levis, Bryce Young, Jameis Winston, and Aaron Rodgers. Denny, you ready for some questions from Blue Sky on Twitter?
Yes, we are ready. I am ready.
All right. First question is from @Charles_Sword. It says, what other cartoons would you like to see enact NFL games? Does JJ's model consider Angelico from Rugrats to be a volume play against cover 2? So someone else asked if we watched the Simpsons stuff from. I didn't watch any of it.
Yeah, I saw some highlights. So Xavier actually wanted to watch it, but then he actually had an outdoor education camp that was a sleepover this week. So he was not able to watch it, but I would have watched it with him.
They did the same thing. Was it on Nickelodeon the one time where they had like the characters running around and stuff like that, where it wasn't I'm assuming it was that, right? With the Simpsons, they just had like AI of them and like little cartoon characters.
Right. Like Millhouse was Andre Yoshivash fumbling or almost fumbling behind the line of scrimmage last night.
Gotcha. Yeah, look, if there was a Rugrats one, I'd be all about it. Rugrats might have been that might be one of the tipping points of your age, of our 4-year gap of your age to my age, might be a Rugrat. Like, were you a Rugrats person? Because I was like full blown Rugrats. That I think, because I was born in 1988. 1988, folks, you are peak Rugrats.
Yeah.
Period.
I don't know, man. That seems young.
What?
I was into Rugrats and I don't know. I mean, 88. Okay. That means
okay. Maybe 86. Maybe 86 was the year. Maybe I'm wrong. All right.
Well, I remember watching it and
taking enough L's.
It a lot.
Okay, we already went through the best ball stuff, Denny. Just handing me L's over and over again. Yeah, maybe it's like Rugrats would be good. I'd like Hey Arnold too. Hey Arnold is definitely more me than my time frame.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
See, we got a 92er in chat that said Hey Arnold would be mine. I got Arnold right back here. Arnold and Gerald back here. I also have Doug, which in hindsight, I think Doug might be the best cartoon of all time.
Really?
Oh, it's so good, man.
I was going to say
back.
Ninja Turtles for me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. But I think Doug has like staying power.
Right.
You wouldn't want to watch Ninja Turtles today, more than likely.
No,
right.
I
wouldn't mind watching a little Doug. You know? I used to do did you remember Doug? What did you watch Doug?
I vaguely remember Doug.
They had a beatboxer do all the transitions from scene to scene. Like there was a sound, so you go like I remember all of the like
I love that you did that.
It was great. It's great. Bluey's a good answer though, John. That's true. All right, next question. This is from @IamGroot2001. What is the proper etiquette for crossing the street or a car letting you pass in front of them in a parking lot?
I mean, I think I usually am pretty aggressive as the walker.
You just step out in front of the car?
Like I'm not directly, but like if I have a good chance to get into the crosswalk and start walking, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. I probably will too. And you'll just matrix them. Just put your hand up.
Feel like pedestrian. I mean, you got to keep your head on a swivel. I'm not telling people to take a chance that they're gonna regret. But I am saying that in a grocery store parking lot, cars need to be told to be patient.
Yeah, if you're not on, because like where I'm at in Davidson, we have there's like a town, and in the town there are crosswalks everywhere, but cars are going like 25 miles an hour, right? Because that's the town speed limit. That's not slow to just like walk out in front of, right?
No.
But if you're in a parking lot, that's way different when they're going like 15 miles an hour.
I think, and as the driver, I think you have to, you have to be very lenient and let people walk, and do not press them. Don't keep rolling. Don't do any of that passive aggressive stuff. Yeah. You are in a 3,000 pound vehicle, and and they are not. So just let them walk.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Next question @Rusin_Scott says, I need to know, did either of you fellas we already talked about the Simpsons stuff. My bad. Next question @Mike J. Gallant. It says, if you had to watch only one Christmas movie on repeat, meaning you can never watch another again, which one would it be and why?
Never again?
You can never watch another one again.
I guess
you're gonna say Christmas Vacation. Yeah. It's gotta be Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, it's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah. I could be talked into Elf, but it would get really annoying, I think.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, Elf that's a generational thing. Like, I realize that Elf for people born in the 90s is like National Lampoon's for me.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of time period. But Elf for I don't know, a couple years ago, I was like, why is everybody talking about Elf like a classic? It came out 5 years ago, and I'm like, oh wow, it's 20 years old.
Will Ferrell was like 32 or something when he filmed that.
Yeah. We have a question in the chat. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yes, it is, but it's not about, there's nothing Christmas to it. Okay.
Right.
I'll say Gremlins is a much more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard, because there's a lot of Christmas in it.
What do you think defines a Christmas movie though?
It's gotta have the holiday at the heart of the plot.
Yeah, like family gatherings and stuff, and
decorations and the aesthetic, the holiday aesthetic. Now I know in Die Hard they're at a party, whatever, but let's get real. Just because another one, I'll tell you, Batman Returns, which is the second Batman thing from 1992 or something. That's more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard.
I want someone to make a list of the fringe Christmas movies that are out there to prove the Die Hard is or isn't a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
but you're saying that you said at the beginning Die Hard was a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it is.
But now you're saying it's based on your criteria. I don't think it is.
All right, well, I'll go with that. I'll tell you another one.
Talk yourself out of it.
I'll tell you a family classic that I'm actually going to watch tonight with my family. Eyes Wide Shut. I mean, that Christmas movie. And lots of Christmas theme in that one.
Yeah, but it's not like when you think Christmas movie, you're thinking of Elf, you're thinking of Christmas Vacation, you're thinking of like Jingle All the Way. Remember how awful? Have you seen that movie?
What is that?
It's the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was back in like
Ooh.
mid 90s, and this
Ooh,
kid wanted a toy, and he
yeah.
dressed up as this Turbo Man toy
That's
and
not
stuff.
good.
One
That's
of the I watched it again with Avery a couple years ago, or maybe even last year. Arguably the worst movie, not just Christmas movie, the worst movie of all time.
Yeah, I think it's in the running.
It might be the worst movie of all time. Yeah.
Bob's with me. Eyes Wide Shut is an overlooked Christmas classic that you can watch again with your entire family.
Next question, last one from Twitter, then we'll go to Blue Sky. At low rap, I can't say how to pronounce that. 23. This is from Pete. If you guys had to bring on a third co-host to the show and it had to be a current NFL player, who would it be and why?
Good grief. Harrison Butker. No.
I don't know if we would want to go overly charismatic and like energetic and fun like Jameis, right? Like that would be like a lot to handle.
Too much.
Or could we just go with like a Joe Burrow type where it's just like, okay, he's just kind of hanging out and we know that he's not going to be super loud about things.
We maybe I want someone thoughtful though. Who are there any thoughtful players?
Are there any players who are just thoughtful? If it's a former player, someone said Lynch, as in Marshawn, I would assume. Marshawn's probably the most fun that you could find ex NFL player wise.
Yeah, I don't know. If anyone comes up with a thoughtful player, let us know.
Oh, Nick Folk. There you go.
Nick Folk. Nick Folk's the only NFL player who's in worse shape than me.
Nick Folk. Nick Folk is such a good answer.
Yeah,
such a good answer. All right, next question. This is from Blue Sky now. We got it from TK. As I ponder whether or not to buy my daughter the Frozen themed smartwatch she, quote, needs, I've thought about the gifts I always wanted as a kid that I never got, Nerf guns mostly. What toy did you always want as a kid and your parents refused to buy you?
I mean, I always wanted violent video games, and that was just an absolute no-go.
Have you seen okay, so we didn't talk about this because it's not like we need to talk about it, but the healthcare CEO was killed and they caught Luigi, the killer, in Altoona, which is where my wife's whole family is from, right?
Oh, yeah.
There was an article today that noted, it was a quote from his friend, okay? And I gotta ask, so you don't play enough video games where if I were to ask you, like well, you probably know this video game though, right? I'm assuming you know the answer to all of this. But what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to get to is, they were talking about how he had like assassin related like tendencies based on this one video game. And I'm thinking like, oh, it's got to be a really, maybe GTA or some really violent game. And the game, Denny, was Among Us.
It's Among Us.
They're running with it in the media right now.
It's unfortunately.
And I feel like I could bring that up on this show because we largely have a millennial audience that will be like, what on earth? Or millennial, maybe Gen Z audience that they're going to be like, what on earth?
Well, so they got the story. They got the story because a reporter talked to a friend of the assassin.
Yeah, I have the quote. You want me to read the quote?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just found it extremely ironic that, we were in this game and there could actually be a true killer among us.
That's so good. Oh man. That's so good. It's a little kids. It's like for those of you who don't know, you're like little baby aliens, and you're just like plotting to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a person who knifes people and kills them.
But I mean, it's all. It's
cartoons. It's not.
It's all in good fun. Like
no one playing that game is going to say, "Oh, now I got to go kill a CEO."
But it's also not particularly violent in that, like in the imagery. The imagery is what I'm saying. It's not Mortal Kombat,
No, it's over the top cartoony, right? Whenever they slice the guy or whatever, it's just like a ridiculous. There's a bone there and stuff. Like it's just an insanely cartoony thing that if you think that there's any connection to that, you are quite literally a moron.
I was stunned. I was like, did did like AI write this? Like
Yeah.
what happened here?
And there's now multiple media outlets that are like reporting on it. It's not just
Right.
it's not just one random one on like NBC or something.
Come on. Do you know how many people have played this game?
Yeah.
You know, it's not like oh, like yeah, he played like a like paintball, like a paintball game where, you know, he was the assassin and he would take people out one by one. No, man, he was playing a video game.
Yes. And
Like,
as TK says in chat, it's not like this game format is new. It's been around for forever.
yes.
This idea of like the way that it's played.
Yeah.
Secret Hitler's a fun little game too.
No, I didn't know about that one.
Anyway, were there any gifts that your parents refused to buy you?
Just like I said,
violent video games.
I eventually got them to let me play Street Fighter.
Oh yeah, did you play Street Fighter 2?
Yes.
Who
yes.
is your favorite fighter in that game?
Guile.
You were a Guile truther? You mained Guile? Are you kidding me? You're a Guile main? That's just because of his hair.
Sonic Boom.
That's just because of his hair. That's all.
Yeah. I loved his hair. I loved his hair.
Oh my gosh, you're a Guile main? That's insane.
Who are you?
E Honda all day.
Oh, but that was a cheat. That was cheating.
No, it's okay. And I also would use Dalsim, and I'd do a little Chun-Li too.
Wait.
The best players in Street Fighter probably played Ken and Ryu.
Ken and Ryu, really?
I would assume
they were very normie.
That's what I'm saying, though. They like knew they knew their moves so well. That was the age of just button mashing, and that's why E Honda wrecked. E Honda just got his arms stiff, and he's just going up and down real fast. Yeah.
This is a family show. Love of God.
E Honda was great, man. I should be E Honda for Halloween one year.
You're gonna have to put on some LBs.
Yeah.
Well, Dalsim is the guy whose arms and legs grew.
Yeah, he was the one from India. Yeah.
And and that was cheating too, because he could get you from across the.
It's not cheating. It's a character in the game. You're trying to beat your bros at Street Fighter. You got to play the best plays. Okay, this is like just drafting Saquon Barkley. You know, just draft. He's a good player in a good situation. Just draft him. Forget the rest. It's not cheating. You're just getting the best guy.
You're right. Dalsim was definitely the Saquon of
Street Fighter.
Of Street Fighter. Guile wore camouflage pants.
Yes.
and he sent out he was the Sonic Boom.
Yeah, he would go Sonic Boom. Yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
And then Ryu would say Hadouken.
Oh, that's amazing. That's exactly how it sounded.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I've been working on that for literally 30
Can you
years.
do the Hadouken again?
Hadouken.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, and then there was Dalsim. He'd say, "You got fire," and then he'd like, "You got flame," and then he'd like shoot the flame out. The one he could shoot the flame out of his mouth. The other one he shot the fireball at people.
That's so. What did E Honda do?
He just went back and forth because he's got a stiff arm going. Chun-Li is impossible. You can't do Chun-Li. It's a little. I don't get to that octave. You can't go that high.
But it was very high. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she's just going like over and over again as she's kicking.
Now the listeners' ears are bleeding.
Yeah. And then Ken, I think, just did mostly the same. The thing is, you would never play Ken because Ryu is just better, and it's just a better version. It's basically like playing Perfect Dark versus GoldenEye. You just go to Perfect Dark because it's just the superior game.
Ken was so boring.
Yeah, I mean, Ken was the forgotten. I think they were brothers, right?
Oh,
are they brothers? I don't think they would be because I think Ryu's from like Japan and Ken's USA.
There was something though. I remember watching a movie with Xavier once about Street Fighter.
Remember Zangief? Zangief was in Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, he was.
Yeah. Zangief was trash. Oh my gosh, one of the worst Street Fighter characters you could.
He's the Soviet Union guy.
Yeah, USSR. Yeah,
the Zoomers don't remember.
Zoomers don't know. There was Vega. Vega was pretty good. Remember, he could like climb the fence in that one map.
Oh, Vega. Yeah.
Yeah. He was good. He was good.
I remember who's the USSR guy?
Zangief.
Zangief, right? And when you would select him, he would go USSR.
Yeah. The guy in the background. He's
Yeah.
basically what's his name? Who does the Hard Knocks VO? It's like him back in he was the OG.
Oh yeah.
Whoever was doing these voiceovers. All right. So back to the question: do I have any? My parents. I don't think that I really had anything that my parents wouldn't get. I do remember though. This is gonna sound crazy and weird, but you know what? I've already been crazy and weird on this show for the last 10 years of my life. Remember the store Borders books.
Sure, yeah.
Do they still exist?
No, and again, the Zoomers will have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, Borders was great, man.
I
So
love Borders.
Borders was like Barnes and Noble but better. Okay,
It was Barnes and Noble, but we were younger, so it was better.
Yeah, right. Literally the same store, but we were young. Okay?
Yeah.
There was a map, okay, and it was like a laminated map, and it was a cartoon map of Pittsburgh. Okay. So it had like the downtown area, and it was all cartooned out and stuff. And then I remember looking at it every time I would go to Borders because I could see like my area my suburb that I grew up in and stuff because you could see it on this map, and it was labeled that area. And my dad would never buy it. It was $10. My dad would never buy it for me.
$10.
You know what I did when I went out on my own and left the house?
You got it, baby.
I bought it. It's hanging up in my office right now.
Shut up.
Swear to God.
I
will take a picture of it and post it to the socials. We can put it on let's put it on the Patreon of this map. Yeah.
Wow. Good for you. Good for you. I have a similar story. So again, no violent video games, no violent movies. I was not allowed, like basically like nothing with violence in it. And by the way, I would play Army with my friends in the most violent, gory ways possible. So it wasn't
Army as in like you're acting as you're a soldier.
Yeah, like we would go out with with like our Nerf guns, and we would like. I mean, the whole game was like you're killing people. Like that's the whole game.
Right.
Anyway, so the first thing I did when I got a car is I went to Sam Goody and I bought Terminator and RoboCop and Alien. And I said, now we will engage in violence.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Next question. This is from @Shady Inc. on Blue Sky. A billionaire asks you to be their personal fantasy football expert.
Yeah.
You continue to do everything you currently do: pods, articles, research, tweets, but none of it is public. Only for the eyes and ears of the billionaire.
That's
the
crazy.
Offer is for 2 times your current income and a 10-year commitment. Are you interested?
All right. I saw this and I thought about it. I would need more.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I know so.
Yeah. So, okay. First of all, my questions would be these: am I allowed to do outside writing? Okay. Because if this is the only thing I'm going to do, I'm going to need way more than that.
Yeah, right. True.
Okay. So do I have freedom? And so depending on that answer, I'm asking for 3 or 4 times what I make.
I think that's about fair. Yeah. I also I get too much enjoyment from interactions with this job.
Oh, it would be a horrible, lonely existence, but you'd be rich as hell. So
yeah, I don't know. Like it's this is gonna sound so corny, but it's just not a driver for me with this job. Like it's just like that can never be your expectation when you set out to be a fantasy football analyst. No. Right. And so if it happens, great, but that can't be like your sole purpose with doing this. You're doing this for the love of the game and for what it means and what it is, right? And so to me, I don't think I don't even know what the number would be to have to do something like that.
I have a little experience in this weird sort of scenario because back when I used to run Draft Day Consultants, which some of you might remember,
right.
I would post about it on the X platform formerly known as Twitter, and I would get rich guys who would email and say, like, I don't know anything about fantasy football, but my rich buddies are in this league and it's a $5,000 buy-in or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'll pay you any amount as long as you win the league. but they would say, but I'm not paying you anything if you don't win.
Right.
And I can't, I can't guarantee that. Like I
Right,
can't,
of course.
I have no idea.
Too much
First of all, I have no
variance.
idea
Yeah.
how good your friends are.
Yeah. Right.
And secondly, shit happens. Sorry to the kids.
Yeah.
But there are guys out there who are willing to pay an unbelievable amount of money to like guarantee results in fantasy football.
It's so weird. It's so weird because like
Yeah.
don't that's why I've always approached fantasy the way that I do as an analyst is like the teaching how to fish as opposed to, just handing it to them.
I know.
Because like doesn't it just defeat the purpose of playing?
Well, yeah, I mean they didn't even want to play. They just said, "What, manage my team." I will. So I actually think that this scenario is realistic. Like I bet you there is like a super rich dude out there who would do exactly what this post says, which is to be like, you're going to be like my entire fantasy football. You are going to be my fantasy football analyst. I'm going to pay you handsomely. I bet you that's real. Yeah.
I mean, I'm picturing myself waking up on Monday morning and someone just standing over my bed saying, "Where's the data dump? Where's the data dump? Before you take your dump, you give me a dump."
No real dump until I get my data.
All right. Next question. This is from @crackofdawn on Blue Sky. Is it unethical for parents of bad teams? Is it unethical for parents of bad teams? Okay, now I get it because I was thinking fantasy teams at first. It was very, very confusing. To indoctrinate their kids as fans. Lions fans are getting their first taste of joy in 50 years. Who would do that to their child? No offense, Lions fans.
Oh, it's not unethical. You learn a lot more about yourself and your community if you are rooting for a terrible team.
I agree. I think rooting for a terrible team, like I've been doing it with the Pirates my entire life.
Yeah.
And it's just torture. I will say though, it's a lot easier to be part of that when you're living in that city.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
I can now be more of a bandwagon fan with the Pirates. It's not, I don't care about even admitting that. Right. But when you're in that city, when you're immersed, like if you're living in Cleveland and you've experienced the Browns, there's a special type of bond and joy that you will feel when the Browns inevitably will be good in like 2055.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think of the torment that Red Sox fans went through.
Yeah.
And then they got their World Series, and they get like one or two more after that.
I think from my perspective, they won like 6 more. Yeah.
You did. I
think they won a couple more. Yeah.
Yeah. So or Cubs fans. There you go. Like the
Cubs fans, a great one. Yeah.
The winning is eventually when it happens, it's going to be so much sweeter. I mean, honestly, I know literally the Zoomers won't remember, but the Patriots were a freaking laughing stock for 30 plus years before Tom Brady saved them.
Yeah. I mean, I went 18 years before this in my life before the Steelers won a Super Bowl. I'll say I went 18 years before I experienced any championship aside from when I was like 3 and 4 when the Penguins went back to back the first time.
Gotcha.
I hadn't experienced anything until I was like 18, but I understand that there are people out there that are in their 40s that have never experienced a championship for their teams.
Yeah. And I know you are spoiled as a Steelers.
Have I ever told you that the Penguins went back to back in 2017, 2018 as well? That they did that?
I don't think you mentioned that.
Yeah, they went back to back then. And the Steelers actually have won 2 Super Bowls in my lifetime, Denny.
Well, they're going to get a third this year, so there you go.
That's right, Mr. Unlimited. Next question. @number1punna. Do you listen to podcasts or anything, to be honest, without headphones around other people?
No, because I'm not a monster.
Yeah.
I do have a funny story. I know we have to wrap up here in a minute.
Yeah, go ahead. No, tell the funny story to end the show.
All right. Here it is. So I take my daughter to gymnastics every Wednesday afternoon. And this is back. This is back in October. And I was just kind of testing out, giving a test run to my Halloween playlist. Okay. And I was trying to get it in shape for, our Halloween get together. Right.
Sure.
Trimming, adding, you want to be precise with this thing. I can't remember the name of the song and it's escaping me right now. Something on the dance floor, Murder on the Dance Floor, Murder on the Dance Floor. Okay. Are you familiar?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So I add that song. And I want to give it a listen to make sure that it makes the cut. So I put my AirPods in, and I'm at gymnastics, and there are 10 to 12 moms around me, right? And I start playing it, and I can't hear it. So I turn it up a little more, and I hear it very,
Faintly.
vaguely in the background, and
Yeah.
I turn it up more and more and more, and suddenly it's blaring, but I can't hear it in my AirPods. Well, it hasn't connected, and I'm just pumping out Murder on the Dance Floor in front of all these moms, and like 3 of them turn around and are like, "Oh God, what is this guy doing?"
Yeah.
And I had to actually be like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Like I'm not like trying to start like a rave here, by the way."
That is amazing. That's so good. I've heard stories of people that are like in their office or something and they play the Late Round podcast and it's just air horns.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which that's probably the only reason why I would get rid of the air horns is that people don't get fired from their jobs. Yeah. That's funny though. Good story, Denny. That was a good one to end on. All right, that's it for today's show. Let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky at Denny Carter, no more CD Carter, and you can find all of my work on RotoWorld.
I'm on Twitter and Blue Sky at Late Round QB. All my work over on lateround.com. Denny, good luck in your playoff matchups this week. Let's get some W's. Stone Smart, he's going to do it for me.
All the T's.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll catch you next week.
Thank you for listening to Living the Stream. We hope you enjoyed the internet podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes now. It won't take long, it's fast. For more fantasy football info, check out
LateRound.com and NBC Sports Edge.
Hope you come back soon as we share about the teams and as we live